Yeah, he's had those motors up there, you know, for helping to run things.
But it is way warmer right now
Just
than it
put
was
the motors
this
in,
morning.
I'll put them in when
Oh,
we get
yeah.
some cold. I don't have anything brewed up there anyhow at that time.
My phone's
So-
cold.
I know, so are mine.
so-
Oh, for the shade,
Hmm?
for the shade?
No, because there's 3 or 4
No, you're
motors up there.
Yes.
I know.
To do the
They're really
circulation for the air
toasty.
conditioning, the heating system
Not as
up
good
there.
as those
And
Angry
they've been
slippers.
burned out since we left the house. That's why it probably was cold. And, so we
All
can
right,
look at-
welcome back, everyone.
Oh, right.
It is
Go ahead, go
1:30, time for the
I
department
can't, I
head
stole my
meeting.
keys, so.
Oh.
Before we do that, and to give our department heads another couple minutes to get here, I wanted to present this to the commission. This is the annual report. Debbie has finished it, and she worked with Denning and Downey, and the audit is in there as well. So, there's nothing for us to sign, it's signed by Doug and Debbie.
We used to.
Administrationally. Yeah, there's no place for it. She did look through, I looked through, but I did want it on the record that we reviewed it, that it was here in the public meeting, especially without that line for signature. That is due on the 31st. It has been electronically sent, and she's going to send it US mail this afternoon. So when this meeting is over, Debbie will take it on her way down. If you guys want to review it, she can certainly send it to you electronically.
I want to know who's really going to go through
Debbie did,
it. I mean, 200 pages,
right,
56 counties.
right.
This is A roll, right?
Hi. All right, I think most everybody's here. We're missing a few, but they can straggle in. We have quarterly department head meetings or meetings whenever there's anything new to share with anyone, or any of you calls it as well. So that's what this is. My reason for calling this was really 2 things. One is I just wanted to say thank you. You guys have made my last year as chairman a lot easier than it could have been. I appreciate the fact that you guys have worked as hard as you have, that you've been as dedicated as you have, and that you've done as much for the county as you have. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to each and every one of you and your staff as well. This is also a chance to say good luck, Judge, we're gonna miss you.
Thank you.
And welcome, Kurt.
Thank you, good luck.
Maybe it should be good luck.
There you go, yeah.
Congratulations, Gary. That's what it should be.
So what's the first thing you're going to do as a retired person?
Not gonna answer the phone.
There you go.
Or the alarm clock.
Kurt, make sure yours comes in as unknown number, so we can't just ignore it.
All right.
Well, the other reason I wanted to have this department head meeting was at the request of one of our employees. Unfortunately, an employee who's using a space heater left it on all night long on high. This is a bad thing on many, many levels. One, it's waste money that could be spent on other things. So what we need to do is just the annual reminder about space heaters. They're fire hazards in an old building. They use a lot more electricity. Mike is keeping the building, the offices at between 71 and 74.
72, 73.
72, 73. So, and Mondays are hard. You know, we have a long weekend, it gets cold. This building, this old building's gotta catch up. So Mondays are hard. But 2 years ago, the commission authorized department heads to buy their employees who sit at a desk which is covered on 3 sides, so oftentimes doesn't get the heat. The electric blankets that you can put, they're just lap blankets, and they will keep you warm under your desk. For people sitting down behind a desk who are chilly, this will help keep you warm or your staff warm. Let's do those instead of space heaters if you can. There's extenuating circumstances for some people stand at their desks, others have medical issues that require space heaters. They need to be warmer than the 72, 73 for stationary jobs. We understand that. If that's the case, come and see us, but otherwise, we really do need to try and be a little bit more energy efficient. Wear a sweater, and let's get the lap blankets, or lap pads.
Are
So-
Snuggies okay?
Snuggies are just fine, yes. Slippers, hats, you name it.
Those come in
So-
orange.
They do.
So that's all I had. Any comments or anything you guys want to bring up, or anything else from the board?
We're gonna miss the judge,
Yes,
big
absolutely.
time.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you. I probably won't be coming to commission meetings.
Why not?
Hey, Bob, see what you can do about that? So, anything from anybody?
I'm sure you'll be here a few times helping Kurt Cobb, to start off.
Probably more than a few.
That's one call I do have to answer.
Now, have you gone to school already, Kurt?
Yes. Yeah.
What the hell was that at?
It was in Missoula.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
He's the only judge that's ever passed with 100%.
Congratulations.
Just kidding. They don't tell us a lot.
That's what I told him the first time. He's like, really?
That was amazing. Holy crap.
I probably only had like a 98.
Oh, okay,
And a
well,
half.
Yeah.
yeah. We had high expectations for you, sir.
You don't want to be perfect, Kurt.
You wouldn't fit in.
That's right.
All right, anything else? Any more razzing for the judge or Kurt? Certainly haven't had enough of that. All right, well, this is short. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Too late, we're all done.
You betcha. Yes. Thank you, Dana. Okay, whatever. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
That's awesome.
He's got 2 people right now, so yes, really 3. 3, Charles and Beth. There's 3 down there. Hey Debbie, don't forget your report. We did put it on the record. And we reviewed this. For anyone who's interested in what Debbie's been doing, this is the annual report that she just completed, 2 days ahead of schedule.
All right.
Kudos. So, thank you, Debbie.
Can you refresh the last name again?
Debbie's, Kelly,
Okay, I
K-E-L-L-A-Y.
have that, I just,
Yeah.
and her title?
She is the budget manager, right?
Okay.
Accounting manager. Thank you. Yes, yeah, you do a lot more than that. All right, thanks, Debbie. All right, we're now 20 minutes ahead of schedule. And we've gone through all the mail. You guys have anything?
Is it warm over at your shop?
Yep, he's working.
Good.
It's just a matter of now you gotta get rid of the mice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had a hard
No
time
one
with that.
begets another.
I mean, my desk this morning looked like a war zone.
Get a little pussycat.
That's a bummer.
It's not surprising, no.
An old building like that.
Right, yeah.
And it doesn't like eat decon, does it?
Yeah. And we put the Barbie down, and that doesn't seem to be working.
Mice are getting savvy. I couldn't catch the one in my truck. Tried everything, stickles, traps.
In your truck?
Yeah. It's still in there. Brandon thinks it's caught somewhere in the heater fan, because he said it's starting to stink. So,
Oh.
so we might be a mouse down.
That makes me sick just to think about
Takes
it.
a while.
Yeah.
So how many guests do you have now?
You know, we're down a little bit. We're at 19 right now. Christmas is always low, so I'm not sweating it too much. We'll pick up here after the first of the year. I've already got, we just barely missed a contract with Deer Lodge, not Deer Lodge. You do that motorcycle rally every year over there by Missoula. Over by Billings. Red Lodge. Their Billings is always full, so they were looking for a place to send their inmates. And I called the sheriff the morning after they already signed a contract with Bozeman. So I was a little disappointed in that. Got on that one a little late, so. But they might revisit it because I told them we would transport for them. So that enticed them a little more. So hopefully we can get that contract. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so we got our feelers out. We talked with P&P and stuff, so we'll pick up here after the first year. It's always slow during Christmas. Judges always let people out. And the scare from the DOC budget woes are over by then anyway, so we'll pick back up.
And how about the meals? How's that going?
Wonderful. I met with them here last week before Christmas, and I can't remember the last time I got a complaint on meals. So it's really been beneficial. And my last bill I just paid today was almost $6,000 less than the previous year, and we had about the same amount of inmates. So it's, in the long run, we'll definitely see less savings. So we're still fine tuning it because, they're always a couple days behind, so if we're, short or over, it takes them, so if I tell them on Friday, they can't get it fixed until Wednesday. So there's always a lag there, but working really well for us. So, and Mike's got our whole, you have to come over and see our paint jobs inmates, and everyone helped us paint, and we got all the pods done, and so Mike's got that all lined out. So we have a Green Bay cell and a Bobcat cell. So inmates painted some stuff on the it just always helps because inmates destroy stuff unless a fellow inmate's name is on it. It sticks around for a lot longer. So hopefully this will help keep the repainting down to a minimal.
Excellent.
So you have to come over and take a look.
Should we do a tour in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Okay, does that
Yep.
work for you guys?
come over and see. It's pretty amazing what they did. So
I'll just tag that onto the back of our
You bet.
our agenda.
awesome.
All right,
All right.
very
I'm
good.
disappointed you don't have Grizz one though.
Oh well, we're working on that one.
No.
We're gonna do. Our hope is when we need to repaint the rec yard to do that Carroll College colors.
Mm.
So we'll have all the state colleges almost represented. I don't know if the colleges will like that, but the inmates do.
You got some great artists in there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're amazing. So
You start controlling in 2 weeks now.
Yeah, and we start the control room here shortly, so.
When do you start that project?
Well, I've sort of kept Mike pretty busy with painting and stuff, so maybe 2 weeks, maybe at the end of the month.
Third week in
January, yeah. So,
Are you doing the same project you talked to us
Yes,
about in our
yeah.
last tour?
yeah,
All right.
so we'll actually start construction on that, which will be super helpful,
Oh, yeah.
because right now we're just so crowded in
How long do you think it'll take?
there. I don't know. Well, it'll help a bunch now that the systems will be out of there. Before, we were thinking we'd have to do half and half, but now we're moving, for the time of the project, we're moving the dispatch center upstairs and by the deputy room. So we'll be able to do everything down there, just completely clean it out, so hopefully that will help with our timeline a little better.
I'm hoping we're done with it in 2 or 3 weeks.
Is that a long-term fix, moving it up to the?
We would like to move one station up there, just because we have, where the dispatchers have to do validations. We would love to move it totally out of the building, but the cost of that is pretty high, because we have to move all of our equipment to wherever we, I know we had talks of maybe in the new building that, you and Mike are talking about, but with the cost, it's really expensive. So, we would like to have a station up there for the desk work that has to be done, so they're not bothered with the phone calls and, detention and things like that. So, I'm talking with, we have an extra sieging computer, so I think it's something very doable.
Excellent.
So,
Why would you want them out of there, Mike? Or, napkins?
well, because the job has changed so much, where it's not just dispatching anymore. They have dispatching and control of the detention center and phone calls and people coming into the visitor window. There's so much that can really go on at one certain point in time. And, you know, we're trying to get better employees, and some of our employees just can't multitask like that. It really takes them out of their element, and they drop the ball in some big areas, and we just had that happen here a couple months ago, and it could have resulted in some huge liability. So it's just a thought, just a lot of other centers, they don't have their detention center like ours. That was one of those things when we built it, when they built the center, it was easy fix. We can cross-train our dispatch as detention officers. It was a quick fix. Now I think we're just getting too busy for that type of quick fix. We have to have a little forward thinking and maybe moving them upstairs or out. And upstairs wouldn't be a problem. You know, we have a desk right now we don't even use. So it wouldn't be a big issue. So, but that's the reason why we thought of that.
SD Helm's gonna go for 300 beds.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if they need that, to be honest with you. That's a lot of beds. Bozeman, they're already looking to add on, you know, so it's one of those things.
How many beds is Bozeman?
Bozeman, I don't know how many beds they have right now, but they're looking to build a whole nother wing to what they already have down there. So, I don't know. The community says they need it, but, you know, I don't wanna hurt another county, but 300 beds, that's a big facility. And they average, I think they only average about 125, according to their Facebook page. So, I mean, you're looking at another 150, 175 beds that they're looking to pull in. I mean, that would astonish me that they would be able to house that many.
And it'd be scary to
Yeah.
think that you had to make it pay with that many.
Oh, yeah. That's gonna be a hurt on the taxpayer for a 300-bed facility.
How many million is it, do you think?
Ooh. Well, ours was 2 million for a 46-bed facility. And ours was at the top of the line when, I mean, it was state of the art when we built it in 2005, so if they're, I can't, how much was Bozeman? Bozeman's probably right around 250.
19, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you're looking anywhere 19 to 30 million, all depending on what kind of things they're putting into it.
Yeah,
And that doesn't even, you know, it's a lot of maintenance, as Mike can tell you.
I remember they were talking about 35 million in the paper, I think.
Yeah,
the other thing is MSPOA and MACO are working on legislation that would make every single detention center the same cost.
yeah,
So ours is at 63, they're looking at 65 a night. Well, the figures for Lewis and Clark are at what, 125 a
Yeah.
night?
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's how we were gonna get that Red Lodge deal, is because we were a couple dollars shorter than Bozeman. But then I told him, I said, we have a transport officer that will transport to court and back. And so that's where they're gonna start, you know, that $120, that's gonna kill a lot of counties. And they're gonna look for other places to send them. And that's where I'm sitting just saying, bring them here.
absolutely. Yeah,
So, yeah, it's a good deal for us, but, I mean, they don't even have property yet that they, I mean, they're still behind the 8 ball, you know, for this. They change, it seems like almost every other several months on how many beds and where is it gonna go and things like that. So,
and their meetings keep getting canceled.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because I talked to the guy here last month, and he emailed me and said it was canceled, because I was gonna run up there just to see exactly what, I wanted to have some sort of, at least a deadline, you know, that I can foresee what, you know. And we've cut in a lot of other areas too. We stopped spending so much money on some certain items and found other places to buy, you know, toiletries and stuff like that have saved us money too, so. We're sitting pretty good.
Well, when you think of 300 beds, then you think furnishing it
Oh, yeah.
and staff.
And that's the thing, is they're, you know, they pay, I think they start out their staff at, I think the last, when I did that cost of living or the prevailing wage, I think they started their staff around $17, $18 an hour.
wow.
So, I mean, your staff costs are gonna jump, especially if you do have 300. Because the Montana jail standard says that you're supposed to have 1 detention staff for every 4 inmates. So, you're talking about some staff.
We're there, aren't we?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
we meet the standard. So.
Is that based on beds or based on average
It's
inmates?
based on your beds.
Okay, which makes
Because,
sense.
yeah, because if you go over, they don't like, the ACLU really, that's what got them in a lot of trouble, Lewis and Clark, was they had inmates in the library and other areas, and ACLU came in and they had to stop putting people in the library. So that's why they started farming a lot of their inmates out. Yeah.
I wonder what the feeling around county is for that.
You know, the people that I've talked to, you know, I've talked to a lot of law enforcement, you know, and of course, law enforcement, you know, they always, well, their facility is in dire need of something. It's in sad shape. But I've talked to taxpayers and they're not thrilled about it either. I mean, their tax base is gonna jump, you know, so it always comes down to the brass taxes of everything, so it's mixed, you know, you have some people that understand the need, but is it a need for 300 beds? You know, is that a need? Or, you know, because they can run into the problem we did here 2 years ago, and we had 8 inmates, and we're saying, okay, this is starting to drain us, what are we gonna do? You know, if they build it too big, it could come back and bite them, you know. It's good to be forethinking, you know, I think Bozeman would've wished that they would've, I don't think they foresaw them being as full as they are. But they're sort of in a pretty nice spot between Bozeman and Billings, you know. a lot of counties take their inmates, because Billings is always full, there's no possible way, so.
The other thing with Helm is, I mean, it's no secret that they're looking at school.
Right.
And so you've got that. The Fair Board was after money for a building. That got voted down.
The one thing that shocked everybody was that their building for their search and rescue passed. I talked to the coordinator over there, and he was shocked that that passed.
Really?
Yep. So, but yeah, so that's sort of where we stand. I think we'll be all right come the new year. We'll start picking up at inmates, but we're average right now around 23, which is still not too bad.
Oh, you're still in the black.
Yeah, so, I mean, and we only average 1 to 2 of our own inmates, so right now we have 2. So, I mean, we have 17 of paying inmates. It's pretty good,
That's nice.
so. But, yeah, so that's my tidbit.
Well,
good.
with that tidbit,
All right.
we're going to move on to our 2 o'clock appointment, building project for search and rescue, weed 4-H extension, mosquito bids, process, scope, funding, decisions. So, Mike, if you want to stay there, you know, if you guys want to, we can certainly talk about this that way. If you want to come up to the table, it's up to you.
It's up to you.
I think the first thing, though, that we need to do is just recap how we got here and what we need to do. This has been, as you guys know, a process we've been at for over 2 years. We've had evening meetings, we've had working meetings, all meetings have been public, we've had them at commission meetings. We have sought the guidance and expertise of experts, professionals, Department of Agriculture, engineering studies, other counties, the county engineer. This is not something where we're just shooting, you know, blindly in the dark. There's been a lot of time and process behind this. We've looked at all the different alternatives we could think of. And what we've landed on is, for the office portion, modular. Because we did put out to bid, stick-built, and realized that it is more expensive by double. So the fact of the matter is, this one is growing. When you come in the west doors out here in the front, you see a big plaque next to the doors that says, the addition to this courthouse was done in 1993 by the then county commissioners, Jim Holm, Steve McCullough, and Bob Davis. And I don't remember the kind of pushback that we've gotten over this project with that project back then. And you think about it, the county library at the school makes perfect sense to us today, but 20+ years ago, it was in the basement of this courthouse. Would we fight tooth and nail against growth and progress to bring the county library back to the basement of the courthouse? No, it makes sense where it's at. That was good forward thinking, and that's all we're trying to do with this building project. It's the same thing. We need to address the needs of today. We need to have an eye on how things are growing and are going to grow in the future, and we need to try and address that as best we can. It's not to say that in 25 years from now there will not be some other needs that we'll have to address. I think with respect to the process and the amount of people involved and the boards and the citizens who have been assisting with this, any new proposals, and we've looked at, I don't know, easily over a dozen, any new suggestions need to come to us with a proposal. If there's a new location to be discussed, that location needs to be in the form of a proposal. We need to see a map where the buildings would go. We need to know that the board members of the Rodeo Association or the Airport Board or the Fair Board or whoever the boards are have been talked to, have buy-in, have agreement in this. And then the other thing we need to keep in mind is delay is costly. Last winter, we had search and rescue meeting in a meeting room that didn't get above 51 degrees in the winter. A day like today, 51 is going to feel pretty good. But should any of our volunteers be meeting in that kind of an office space? They're putting money into that building that is broken just so they can make it work one more winter. Should that money be spent somewhere that's a little bit more constructive? We are spending an awful lot of money on heat for a building we now hear is being overrun by mice. If the building was to be a less than 1 year Band-Aid to take care of an immediate situation, it's been 2 years now. We're spending a lot of money that could be spent on providing services to citizens. Instead, we're sending it to Northwestern Energy.
You need to address the heat to that building, the cost.
Last month, the cost to heat the ambulance building was over it's almost $1,300. 1,200 and change. That's too much. We can continue to do that because we want to fight the fact that the county's growing, but really doesn't make sense. Also, for the ability to be able to just do things a whole lot better. Work on repairs on vehicles in the winter when they're not being used. Virginia,
Or
did you
if I
have a
mean,
comment?
too, I mean, as we know, my office is in a temporary position or spot for space right now because the hospital is talking about basically tearing that building down anyway. So we don't know, I don't know if that's a year from now, 2 years from now, I don't know what their timeline is, but they're talking about more and more. So it's at some point is we're gonna have to find a spot.
I'll get the mice.
Yeah? And, yeah, Nick will take the mice. But that building was on the chopping block 4 years ago, before the crash of the hospital. That was a major focus, was putting a clinic there instead of that old building that is just a heat sucker.
And it's costing more in that building to heat than this whole entire building.
Isn't that incredible? Can we spend that money somewhere else more wisely?
That building is costing more to heat than the whole courthouse?
And the courthouse up.
Whoa.
I got the courthouse down to usually runs, well, wintertime, January, when it's really cold out, and it jumps up to maybe 1,200 a month, but that's it.
Yeah, that's significant, and that doesn't include there's two bills, the city water and sewer is on top of that. So, what we need to do today is, I went back, I asked Ann to do some research into the minutes, and we don't actually have a vote that we are going to proceed with this building project. We need to decide today, yes or no, period. If it's yes, then we need to talk to Mike about what you learned regarding the bids that we looked at 3 weeks ago, and decide how we're moving forward on that. And then we need to also talk about funding options. There's a few. So the first order of business, is this commission going to move forward on the building project and then get into the details, which is just an extension of what we've talked about many times in the past, and specifically 3 weeks ago with the cost of those bids that came in?
You know, we don't get anywhere if we're just spinning wheels. And that's what we're doing. It's high time to get the car off the blocks and go. I make a motion that we go forth with it.
All right, do we have a second?
I think there's still too many questions out there. And another thing you're just talking about is the funding. You gotta figure a way for funding too.
All right, I will second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to go ahead and move forward with the building project for search and rescue, weed, forage extension, mosquito, and others. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
One opposed. All right. So, Mike, what did you learn? We had 3 different bids we were looking at.
Well, the modular is modular. There's not gonna change. I made so many substantial changes to the post frame building, and it also influenced the electrical and the plumbing, that because of the substantial changes, we need to rebid the building, the electrical and the plumbing to fit for the project, because I've just cut it to where it meets the needs of the people, they can expand on it later. But I need to have Sean's help with engineering to get specs and drawings so the people can see it, and also so that we can get it all rebid out to the people who bid on the job.
That makes sense.
And usually we can do that, we send a letter with the new proposal of a bid, and then we also post it back in the paper again.
And will this be rebid for the modular, the
No.
electric, and the plumbing, or just the electric and plumbing?
Electric, plumbing, and the post frame building.
Okay,
Modular is already, I mean, there's nothing to change on that, unless there's some changes. But we have, I mean, it's still the same building as what we all talked about from the beginning. Over a year ago, we all had the department heads up here for a meeting, and Wen was here, and a few other departments.
okay. So we need the storage, the electrical, the plumbing, and Sean's help. All right, and I know we've already talked to him. All right, do you want to vote on that, or do you just want to do it?
Well, you might need to vote on it, I would assume.
Okay,
I
so.
don't know,
We voted on this in so many different ways over so long.
Right.
And by the way, I just want to show you guys my file on this. This is not a shooting in the dark type of thing. These are the studies, these are the answers, these are the, everything we've been doing. Yeah, I mean, this is substantial.
But I
So-
mean, even in the beginning, you guys asked me for what it would be in the budget, and it's still gonna be a $400,000 budget, that's where it's gonna be. So I mean, that's where it's gonna, even by rebidding, it's still gonna end up being a $400,000 budget for this project. So that's kind of where I sit right now, is you got a $400,000 project for a budget that could be approved, or you approve, have Sean help me and we get that portion of it rebid. I need to get answers to the modular people too.
So if you guys want, we can talk about the funding first and then go into the bids, or we can make the decisions on the bids, which we've already seen which is least expensive for the modular. And as far as approving going out for the other bids, you know, that's also just part of getting the project done. I did call or email Harold and asked him if we needed to rebid engineering. And first off, Sean is already our county engineer. But Harold said, not if it's under 25,000, so I asked Sean, I said, will this be under 25,000 for engineering? He said, oh yeah, way. So, that'll be just incorporated in the total cost.
I already called him on that, how much it was. So I had that built into the $400,000.
Yeah, you've done a lot of homework on this, and it's time we actually stop spinning your wheels as well.
And on the modular part, another reason why we need to push forward with the modular, if you're gonna do the modular, is it is another year. Prices are gonna change. Their bid was only good for so long, and we either need to sign it and get it to them so that they got a locked-in price.
Who did you recommend of the two modulars? What were the names again, and?
There was Satellite and Palmer. No one was Satellite. Yeah, Palmer. And I recommended Palmer.
And what was their cost and what was Satellite, so we have that again for the record?
169,472 for Palmer, and 201,307 for Satellite, for the exact same building.
All right. So, with that, you guys have more questions on the modular? We know this has been done by Lewis and Clark County, other counties around the state. Came in at about half of a stick-built.
Would you give us those figures again, please, Mike?
Palmer was 169,472. And Satellite was 201,307.
Thank you. And this would be the offices, is that correct?
Yes, that's the
And meetings.
offices, the training room, the lab, the bathrooms, the shower facility, and the in the office building.
So we should have a motion on moving forward with either Satellite or Palmer. I would suggest Palmer since they're less expensive for the same building.
Yes. I would make a motion that we go with Palmer for the modular building to the tune of $169,472.
Right, do we have a second?
We haven't even met with the people that are gonna be doing this. I mean, we're still jumping around in circles here.
No, we're not. I will second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to go with Palmer for the modular building for $169,472. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
One opposed. All right, so motion carries. And then the last one is rebidding the storage, the electric and plumbing. We should give you go-ahead to go ahead and do that, working with Sean, putting out a bid with specs so that everybody's working off the same sheet of music and we have a good sounding symphony. All right, any further questions for Mike on that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
All right, do I hear a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
On this 169,000, there's still the plumbing, the sewer brought in, power and all that stuff. What other expenses are there on top of this? Foundation.
Foundation. We
So
have-
we're pushing 200,000.
And our concrete bid was already set for the foundation on that. And the concrete bid,
14,000.
concrete bid's gonna change a little bit too, because of the flat work for the other building. Your concrete portion of that was $14,325 to do the concrete portion. I was gonna have the concrete rebid too, by the way, because I had to for the flat work on the building.
Okay.
But that portion of it didn't have to be rebid.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. We can go ahead and revisit the other
What is it,
question.
sewer and power then? What's the
Sewer and
estimate?
power was combination of both. It was estimated at $9,520 for sewer, power, and, gas. But until we have exact specs, those are rough numbers, plus or minus probably 10%.
Concrete could go up, and it's been a while.
It will. Everything goes up.
Mhm.
And it's the other reason why kick this can down the road. Prices just go up. The need doesn't change. So, hearing no second, I will second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to go ahead and give Mike the go-ahead to rebid the concrete storage building, electrical, plumbing, and any ancillary needs connected with this project with the help of the county engineer. All those in favor of the motion, please
It only makes
signify.
sense to rebid because we heard contractors complaining the way that things were. So I go ahead and agree with that things have to be rebid, no doubt about that.
So those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
So the next piece of this is the funding options. Any ideas?
Bake sale.
Okay, we will have a big bake sale on the front lawn. I did talk to the different department heads, some board members, for all the different groups involved, except for mosquito. I did not contact the mosquito board. And what I asked them is if there were a monthly payment for this, could you come up with it in your budget? And they all answered yes. That's how this started 2 years ago, is a department head said, my budget can afford this. This is what I want to do. And it's grown into more than his proposal was. But it makes a whole lot more sense to marry a bunch of departments into one project rather than having each do their own individually. So I called, we got a flyer a couple months ago, close to a year ago now, about an intercap loan. It's a straight 1% loan offered to local governments. You can do it for any amount, and it's for the actual cost So if, I know you've added a percentage for what ifs. If the cost ended up being $370,000, our loan would end up being $370,000. It's not for what you guesstimate, which our guesstimate is 400. It's not for that amount, it's for the actual. And then it's 10 years to repay. And so I asked him, I said, so if we did apply for a loan for $400,000 and we got that, what would be the monthly or the yearly repay back? And that would be $43,000 annually for 10 years. So that would be shared between the county, for one, because we'd be using the meeting room for the different regional meetings, trainings, various things. And then each of the different boards and departments involved with either having meeting space or using it for training. And that includes EMTs, Sheriff's Department. We heard a list of things the Sheriff's Department had for trainings that they send people out of town for. Well, now they're able to stay in town. So we would be looking at some kind of a package that wouldn't break your budgets, but would be a buy-in from each of the different departments involved, plus the county. So I would suggest it takes 4 to 6 weeks for the process to get an intercap loan. I would suggest we go that route. We could combine it with PILT if we want. We can forego that and do it all out of PILT if we want. We do still have the PILT funds. It depletes the amount we go into the end of the year with. But those are the options. The options that I've come up with are 1 PILT, 2 a combination of PILT or a 1% intercap loan, or a full 1% intercap loan.
You know, when the transfer site building was built, that was done with an intercap loan.
That's pretty good interest rate at 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 43 a year, 43,000 a year doesn't scare me. We have that surplus just through the good management of our department heads. John?
Your PILT money, do you have it in an account that collects interest?
Yes. As far as, this might be for you, Elaine, to explain how that process works. As past clerk or recorder treasurer.
Well, my
It must be
point,
back a while,
my
I'm not
point
sure.
is, if it's above 1%, it'd be a no-brainer to take this intercap loan. Leave
Thank
the PILT
you.
money alone. If I could build buildings with 1% and 10 years to pay it, I'd have buildings all over my place.
Yeah, you're
We
right,
all-
that's a no-brainer, I didn't even think of that part. Yeah. Yeah, we do actually get interest on our PILT through different accounts that it's in. Yeah.
I'd like one of these intercap loans at the ranch.
Right, yeah, yeah. The way it works is, in mid-February, we have I don't even have one here. I pulled it out the other day to bring it to a meeting. It's in February, that's the date. And then, of course, they'll probably get it going again next year. But it would be wise to get an application in as soon as possible. We have a good credit rating as the county. She said they usually grant the loans unless, of course, there's some issues with credit, or they run out of money. So she suggested that we address this as soon as possible. We have about 6 weeks now. If that's a way you guys want to go, then we can go ahead and start the paperwork and have that
I
part
think we
done.
should check into it.
I did check into it, and those are the facts.
But I mean, if we had them come and tell us the pros and the cons.
I can certainly ask them to come and tell us the pros and the cons. I would rather maybe that you call and talk to them one-on-one and get the answers that you're looking for. This is their busy season with that deadline looming. They're in Missoula. It's winter time. And I did my homework. I guess if there's further questions,
Who is running that now?
Julie Flynn and I forget her name, the other gal's name. But, I can ask them, I just,
No, I can call and talk.
okay. It's a very straightforward program. It's been done before in this county, it's been done by other counties. We voted on the modular, we voted on moving ahead with bidding, we've got the engineering solidified. We've been talking about this for 2 years, I guess I'm not sure, I don't wanna jump into something without looking to see how much water's in the swimming pool, but I'm not sure how much more deliberation we need to do, on the funding. And again, you know, if you guys have questions, you certainly can make the calls.
What's
So,
that number?
I don't know, you'll have to find it, Google it. I don't have my flyer with me. So what do you guys wanna do then on the funding?
Wanna wait 1 week, cause I'd like to call him.
All right. So Mike, I think you're tabled
Okay.
for another week.
I can contact Sean.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And give you guys a chance to contact Intercap if you want to invite them to come to a meeting. That wouldn't be for 2 weeks since the agenda for next Monday was done last week due to the holidays.
I think they can just tell us what we need to hear.
Yeah, and there's a website, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory, very simple, very easy. Like John said, it's 1% interest.
So, and I know for a fact that we did Intercap when we did the transfer, so.
Yeah, so we have a good record with it then. All right.
And I don't remember what the cost of that was. Long ago.
Yeah. All right, so, if you can do what you can,
Okay.
I'd love it if you could solidify the price with Palmer, if that requires by the end of the year.
Just need to get a signature.
Okay. Can we give Mike the assurance as a board that we will cover the modular building even though we haven't solidified? Can we give Mike that we will come up with the funding even though we haven't solidified the source of the funding?
I don't see that it's a problem.
All right, I'm gonna ask for a motion that we will solidify the funding so that Mike can move forward, and determine the particulars next week.
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second. It's been moved and seconded to solidify the funding and the details to be determined next week. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No.
All right, motion carries. Okay, so you're good to go, Mike?
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. You guys, thank you very much. John, thanks for coming to town. You guys have done good work so far, and if you have any more words of wisdom regarding the simplicity of the numbers, please share. You're right, it's a no-brainer. So with that, we are at 2:30. We are going to have an executive session, legal strategy and personnel issues, unless there's any further public comment. You guys have anything further for public comment? All right. Well, with that, thank you very much. We will open the door again around 3 o'clock if you guys are interested.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
So they're okay, all right?
Yes, and I will turn off the camera so that since this is executive session.
Do you want me to?
Would you just leave that? I'll turn it back on when we're done. I'll just write the last subject.
So I don't need to come back up at
No,
3? Okay.
no, but thank you.
Let me stop it. Okay,
Isn't that cool?
it's awesome.
And what was that called?
I
Live scribe?
a live scribe. And it's